In Luke chapter 15, Jesus has a whole range of people gathered around him listening to stories. He tells stories of what it is to be lost and found. And he has the religious elite, and he also has sinners and tax collectors. My favourite story is a story of the prodigal son. This story helps me understand three really important truths. The first truth is this, is that God is important. In the story, the father character represents God, and God is important. He is the reason why we have life. We also learn that what we do is important. Each of us has the opportunity to be generous and kind and loving, or to be hurtful, spiteful and negative. What we do impacts the lives of others. We also discover in this story that we are important, that we are created in God's image, that He loves us and He cares for us. And in this story we see what happens when we twist these truths for lies. The younger son wishes his father was dead. I want my inheritance now. And this father, full of love for his younger son, gives him the inheritance there and then. The son has swapped a truth that God is important for a lie that God is not important. And from there he's on a slippery slope. He begins to think that what he does is not important, and he spends his money on wild living with prostitutes. He ends up in a place of bankruptcy as a famine hits the land. He ends up at the worst possible job, feeding pigs, a real thing in Jewish culture. And he comes to his senses and thinks, what am I doing here? I need to go back to my father, but I am no longer worthy to be called his son. We discover that he's lost the fact that even he is important. He has three lies. God is not important, what I do is not important, and now I am not important. We then have that most amazing scene as the father is looking out for his son to come, and as he runs over to his son and he puts shoes back on his feet, a ring on his finger, a robe around him, as he greets him with kisses and celebration and kills the fattened calf. What a beautiful picture of our Father in heaven, that even when we have become distant, we can come back and know who God is and rediscover those important three truths. But the story doesn't finish there. There is the older son who's still out working in the field. And we discover three different lies that the older son believes. See, he believes that God is important, but he believes that his view, his perspective of the Father is important. And sometimes we can want to make God in our own image, to presume we know who he should love and who he should care about and what he should do. The second lie the older son has is this, is that he believes that what he does is important because it earns him the Father's love. When in fact the Father loves us no matter what we do. He loves us, he loves us, he loves us. The third truth is also twisted, as the older son believes that he is more important than his younger brother. How common that is sometimes. That we believe that we are more important than people who are different from ourselves. And yet in this story we see how these three lies are challenged again and again. Who are you most like? Are you most like the older son or the younger son? Perhaps if you're like the younger son, it's time to come back to your father, to realise that he loves you, that he's important, that what you do is important, and that you are important to him. Or perhaps you're like the older son. Perhaps you've got a twisted view and perspective of who our Father in heaven really is. Perhaps you think that he only loves you because of the works that you do. Perhaps you think you're more important than other people. Or perhaps it's time to have a fresh revelation of who your Father really is. Let's hold on to those three truths. God is important. What we do is important. And we are important because He sent His Son to tell us so.